Thanks, Abby. Appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Fenway on what is a great day for the Boston Red Sox and in many ways a historic day for our organization. Just a few thank yous at the outset for making today possible. First and foremost, Rafael Devers. Rafi, thank you so much for everything you've done for our organization. Incredibly, you've been with us for about a decade, and you're going to be with us for a lot longer. And we are so appreciative of everything that you stand for. You represent all that is great about the Boston Red Sox. We're incredibly appreciative to you and your family. And obviously, we know, as we discussed last night, you would not be here without the great Eddie Romero and his team. Manny Nanita, Todd Klaus, Rolly Pino, Jay Alou, and so many people in the organization, and Chaim will speak to that in a minute. But we are so grateful for everything that you've done, Rafi. It's fitting that we're surrounded by many members of the Red Sox front office and our ownership group. I think that's representative of what it takes to pull off a deal like this. And a statement of how everyone feels about you, Rafi. And so I want to thank all the individuals from the Red Sox organization, regardless of what department you work in. You had a hand in making today possible. This is an organizational victory for us, and really excited. And all of you should be extremely proud of today and this announcement. And finally, I want to welcome and say a big thanks to Rafi's representatives and agents from Rep 1, Chris Corris and Nelson Montez de Oca. We would not be sitting here without their efforts, without their collaboration, their spirit of trying to get something done. It's been years in the making, lots and lots of conversations and dialogue. But we ultimately got here, and so thank you guys. You looked out for Rafi's best interest from day one in these conversations, and you helped us make a deal that we hope will keep him a Red Sox forever. So thank you guys for being here and all your efforts. And now I'll turn it over to Chief Baseball Officer Chaim Bloom.
Hey, good morning, everybody. What an awesome day for the whole Red Sox organization. First off, I want to congratulate Rafi and his family and the team representing him at Rep 1. And just as important, I really want to thank Tom Werner, who's here today, John Henry, who couldn't be here today, Mike Gordon, Sam, and simply put, this would not have come together without their support. It just wouldn't have. And it shows their willingness to invest in our on-field product and their desire to win, so thank you. Every organization dreams of developing star players. Rafael Devers is a star. He's one of the most feared hitters in the game. He has been the guy that we want up in the biggest situations, the guy that when you play us, you circle and you always know when his spot is coming up. He's not just a star, he's our star. It's a wonderful thing to retain a homegrown player who loves Boston and who Boston and Red Sox Nation loves back. I was privileged to work earlier in my career with a guy who's no longer with us, a guy named Jim Hoff, who had 5 World Series rings, who would always get up in minor league camp and would always point to all the staff around us and always talk about how great they were and how helpful they could be. He was a great infield instructor. He'd have loved you. And he would say, but none of those guys is good enough to get you to the big leagues. Only you can get you to the big leagues. And so the number one reason that Rafi's here today is Rafi. He did this. But that doesn't change the fact that today is also about the organization, about the men and women in the Red Sox family who made this moment, this investment possible for us. So you'll see, I think we have it, I think on these TVs, I hope, a list of current Red Sox baseball operations staff who played some role in identifying, signing, developing, nurturing Rafael Devers. And it's a lot of people. And it's really just the tip of the iceberg. So many people belong on that list who have left the organization for various reasons. This list just has people who are currently here. And I'm sure there are people in the organization whose contributions I don't know about and who should be on this list. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that we got everybody. But so many people had a hand in this, and they didn't do it for credit. They didn't do it for personal glory. They did it because they have pride in what they do. They care about our players and about the Red Sox, and they want to win. And when I sat in here on my first day here a little over 3 years ago, I talked about how what we do, we will do together. And getting to this point with Rafi, that's something that the Red Sox family has done together. And where we go from here, we're also going to do together. So I just want to make sure to take the time to recognize so many people, whether they're in this room, and some of them are, or not in this room, without whom today would not be possible. And I'm really just up here on this stage for them, as a proxy for them, and as a representative of the Red Sox baseball operations family. So I just want to thank my teammates for everything that they have done, that they are doing, and that they will do. So thank you. And one more thing I actually want to say, really to our fans. You know, loving your favorite team has great moments. It's not always easy. And I know we've had some ups and downs, you know, certainly in the last few years. And I know y'all are smart, and you knew there would be ups and downs with where we stood and some of the things that we were going to have to go through. And you've been with us the whole way. When we've celebrated, you've celebrated with us. When we've hurt, you've hurt, and we know that, and we feel it. So I'm hoping today, when you think about what we always talk about and where we're going, and this vision of a Red Sox organization that every year is consistently contending for championships, I'm hoping that vision's a little clearer for you today, knowing that this guy's going to be right at the middle of it, you know, what we're going to do around him. And I don't want to get into names because I don't want to forget anybody, but you know who we have, the players that have joined us through free agency, players we've acquired, whether through trade, Rule 5, and players we've grown, that this staff here has grown. And you know who we have, and you know there's more coming. And you know it's not always linear, it's not always easy. We've taken a couple haymakers. You know what, we're probably going to take a couple more. This is baseball. It's not supposed to be easy, but I want to be clear. We're going to do this. It's going to be awesome. And we are going to get there. And just want to thank all of you for your support, and hope it's a little clearer today.
Thank you, Chaim. And now Rafi would like to say a few words.
Saludos, buenas tardes. ¿Qué le puedo decir? Feliz y dándole las gracias a todo el que me apoyó siempre, como a mi papá, a mi familia por ser el soporte de mí, y a Boston por confiar en mí desde que tengo 16 años. Me dieron la oportunidad y aquí estamos, gracias a Dios, y a todo el staff de trabajo de Boston por siempre llevarme por el camino bien.
Yeah, just happy to be here today. Thankful to my parents, my father, all of the support that they offered me to bring me to this point. Thank you to Red Sox Nation, who adopted me since I was 16, and have also been a big help in getting me to this point.
Y a todo las personas que siempre me apoyaron, todo como Cora, mi abogado, todas esas personas que estuvieron alrededor mío durante mi carrera, y le quiero dar las gracias.
And in addition, just thanking Alex, Cora, and my lawyers here for the support that they've given me to get me to this point as well. And just proud moment.
Son mucha gente que hay aquí para darle las gracias, no sé cómo decirle, pero le agradezco bastante a todos los que están aquí, ellos saben, y me siento bastante contento por este momento.
And there's just way too much people in this room to thank, but I just want to thank just everyone that's in this room that has helped me get to this point as well.
Thank you, Rafi. At this time, we'll begin with questions. Please raise your hand and wait for the mic.
Rafi, congratulations, and to the team as well. Just a question for you. It's human nature to want to achieve and to stay hungry with things. when you have a contract that's for so many years, is it difficult to stay motivated potentially in year 6 or 8 or 10 of the deal? And how will you do that? How will you stay motivated?
Que tú, para llegar a este punto, fuiste un pelotero hambriento y a veces cuando a alguien le da un contrato del tamaño de la que tú tienes, se pierde esa hambre. ¿Cómo tú vas a
No,
mantener
mío,
eso?
no, nunca, porque es lo único, como siempre lo he dicho, es lo único que sé hacer y es lo único que me gusta. Y aquí es que disfruto, aquí es que me siento bien jugando el béisbol y nunca perderé esa hambre de hacer lo que me gusta.
That will never happen. I love what I do. I'm happy to play here, and that hunger won't subside. It'll be maintained because I just love playing baseball and I love doing it here.
Rafi, you're now the highest paid player on the team and the longest tenured position player. Do you now consider this kind of your team? Are you the face of the franchise? And what does that mean in terms of maybe your role in the clubhouse as a team leader?
No, eso nunca puede cambiar. Yo sé lo que hago y siempre trato de disfrutarme y eso es lo que trato de demostrar a mi compañero, que disfruto el juego, me divierto y todos los días salgo a divertirme y sé que ellos a veces me ven y me preguntan, pero nunca me gustaría como verme mayor que alguien en el clubhouse, sino trato de ser la misma persona con todo el mundo y disfrutar igual.
Nothing changes. I just want to be the same guy that I've always been, someone who has fun, someone who enjoys the game, who's approachable. A lot of times my teammates ask me a lot of questions, and I'm happy to answer, but I never want to feel like I'm above the team or something that's larger than what I see that I am.
Rafi, what do you think about the roster of the team right now? The shortstop, your friend, the shortstop is no longer here. Some other players aren't here. Where do you think the team is right now?
Yo pienso que estamos bien. Tú sabes que todo el equipo a veces necesitan una pieza más, pero en la situación que estamos me siento confiable y sabemos los peloteros que hemos adquirido y el bullpen ha mejorado bastante con las adquisiciones que hemos hecho y son cosas que con el favor de Dios se van a mejorar. Son cosas que pasan y sabemos lo que está pasando, pero con el equipo que tenemos ahora mismo me siento confortable.
I feel very comfortable with the team we have now. There's always room for another piece, but I feel very comfortable with the additions that we've made in the bullpen. I think we got really better there, and that's just part of it. And I just feel very comfortable with where we're going.
Tom, this question's for you. Can you just talk about the commitment that it took from your level and John's level to get this done and sort of the process that you went through and the timeline to get this done?
Well, just to speak about John, who had a conflict today, John was central to our making this deal with Rafi. He and Chaim and Eddie and Sam flew down to Santo Domingo, I think around December 14th, to meet with Rafi. We have always wanted to make a long-term extension with Rafi. We think he's one of the great players in baseball. We think his best years are even ahead of him because he's in his mid-20s. And we've been discussing various proposals with Chris and Nelson for months. And this was something that was obviously an urgent priority. We did not want Rafi to become a free agent next year. And we're delighted. I think that his love for Boston and Nelson and Chris's desire to keep Rafi in Boston, but most importantly that Rafi wanted to be here for the next year and retire as I don't know what's going to happen in 2034 or whatever, but for him to be a Red Sox for the next 11 years, which will be like 15 or 16 seasons, is important to him, and it's very important to us.
Tom, to follow up on that, what made Rafi the guy to make this level of commitment to, as opposed to other players within the organization or outside of it?
Well, if you just look at statistics, and statistics are only a part of it, this is a man who I think has had more extra base hits than anybody in baseball since 2019. Just as a fan, when he comes up to bat, the way he addresses the situation his ability to hit extra base hits and win games. Obviously, it starts with that, but it doesn't end there. This is a man who's hungry to win. We know his character. We rely on the fact that he is not just a great ball player, but a great role model. That's all goes into our desire and pleasure that he is a Red Sox and a Red Sox player. And I think that he's a fan favorite. That's important to us, but he's going to win many, many games for us and hopefully many championships.
Rafi, from your standpoint, what was important to get in this deal? What convinced you that you did want to sign a long-term deal with the Red Sox rather than exploring free agency a year from now?
¿Qué te convenció en tú finalmente decidí volver a Boston y no intentar ir a la agencia libre el año que viene?
No, tú sabes, como te digo, es la organización que me ha dado todo en mi carrera y sabemos que cuando nos vaya a free agent en un momento muy difícil y sabemos que me quería quedar aquí y se produjo. Estamos aquí, gracias a Dios.
Yeah, no, this is the organization that has given me everything. So that was a factor. But also, free agency isn't easy, and it's a tough process, and I just didn't want to have to go through that.
For Chaim and Nelson, when did you kind of start thinking that you were getting close, and you kind of take us through some of the final play-by-play on how this went down?
I've known Nelson for a long time, and I hope he won't be offended when I say I hope next year and during the holidays we spend less time talking to each other than we did this past holiday season. There were a lot of conversations. We've been really talking about this in some way for years. You know, when I talked to y'all right after the season, we talked about this being something we wanted to get into right away. We made our first formal proposal to Rafi even before the postseason had ended. And we really had fairly constant conversation throughout the offseason. Obviously, it took a lot of work. You know, everybody wanted to make sure they're doing a good job and representing the interests they have to represent. And can't say enough about how invested everybody was in getting this done. I think if there was a breakthrough, it was probably on New Year's Eve, and even that took several conversations. Again, you know, Zooming with these guys, they're great guys, but it's not how I want to spend next New Year's Eve. And then, you know, some phone conversations with Nelson on that day, and I think that's when we started to, I think, see that we might be able to get something done here.
Yes, I would say probably the fact when they came back down to the DR was a changing turning point for us and for them. And like you said, we spent a lot of hours on December 31st. My kids weren't happy about me being on the phone until almost 11 p.m., but it was for a good reason. We love Rafi, and this is where he wanted to be. This is the place that he loves, and we were trying to make it happen.
Rafi, was there a time in this process though when you were worried that it wasn't going to happen, that you were going to have to go through the free agency process? And I wonder, could you take us through that conversation in the DR when ownership and everyone came down? What was that conversation like from your point of view?
Que si tú tenías miedo de que, o sea, después de esta temporada iba a terminar llegando a la agencia libre, y la segunda parte es que si puede explicar cómo fue esa conversación en Dominicana cuando fueron los dueños a visitarlo.
Esa conversación dominicana fue buena, compartimos unos buenos ratos, hablamos, tú sabes, pero sabía que algo podía pasar, me sentía confiado porque si ellos fueron a Dominicana fue por algo, y Nelson siempre me ayudó, siempre estuve tranquilo porque sabía lo que estaba pasando y me siento bien.
Yeah, you know, that when they came down to the Dominican Republic, it was a good time. We had great conversation down there. And, you know, my thought process was they wouldn't come all the way to the Dominican Republic for no reason. So I had a lot of confidence that it was going to happen. And Nelson reassured me as well that, you know, the work was being put in.
Were you as confident before that trip? Like, did you feel the same confidence that eventually would happen before you had that conversation?
Que si tú tuviste la misma confianza antes de que ellos fueran a Dominicana a visitar.
Sí, sé que ellos saben el tipo de pelotero que soy, me reconocen todo, el estado de trabajo saben y todos ellos sé que saben como el pelotero que soy, siempre doy lo mejor de mí, siempre trato de estar al 100 y gracias a Dios pasó.
Yeah, I was still confident. I've always had a sense that everyone here understands the amount of passion and work that I put towards the game, and I felt that that alone was enough to give me that confidence that something was going to get done.
Chaim, from your vantage point, why was Rafi the why was he the right person? Why did this deal come together when some other contract negotiations with homegrown stars perhaps had not?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it starts with the player. You have to believe in the player. I think that's pretty evident. Tom went through some of the reasons which are obvious to everybody in this room and everybody watching why Rafi is a great player. Now, beyond that, I've said this before. It's not just the player; it's also the terms and the timing, and both of those lined up in this case. I've said this, that if you're going to make up this commitment, or if you want to make this commitment, you don't win just because you make this commitment. What the commitment does is it puts you in a position to back up that bet with all of the hard work and the important work that we in baseball ops, everybody up on that screen, and everybody in our department does to build a competitive and sustainable and championship caliber foundation around that commitment. And I think we're better positioned now, basically, and this is the right time to do that. He fits perfectly into what we're building, what we're going to keep building. And it's not just Rafi, it's also how we see the organization positioned to back up the bet that we're making.
Tom, Chaim mentioned the ups and downs in recent months, and can you kind of give us your take on where you think the organization is now, and how confident are you about the ability to contend in the coming season?
Well, first of all, I appreciate that Alex is here. Alex is, in my opinion, one of the great managers in baseball. We've got great confidence in Chaim and his department, Eddie and Brian and Raquel. As you said, there were a lot of ups and downs last year. I believe in June we were 11 games over 500. And then the wheels came off, and people were rightfully upset and disappointed. We were rightfully upset and disappointed. We did not like what happened last year. The wheels came off. On the other hand, I'm not saying this and relying on it, we were 2 games from going to the World Series the year before, and we believe that we were ahead of our plan. I believe that Chaim has a clear plan to make us not only competitive, but to win another World Series. I have a lot of confidence in our minor league system, and you'll be seeing some of the results of that this year and next year. And we know we're in a very competitive business. We're in the toughest competitive division, but we'll be back this year. And I think it's the margin between winning and losing is pretty thin in our division, but I've got a lot of confidence in our roster, and I also know that Chaim intends to improve it, and that the results will be what they are, but it's not what you see on paper in January. It's where you end up in October.
Chaim, you mentioned that you guys are in a better spot now, given all the struggles that you guys had, sort of last season and sort of into this offseason. It's kind of been up and down. Why is it that you feel like this signing sort of puts you guys in a better position?
Yeah, obviously this is a very long-term commitment, and when you're making this type of commitment, like I said, first and foremost, it's about the player that you're entering into this with. But beyond that, you look at the way these commitments tend to go. You're making a bet over a long period of time, and generally speaking, you want to really be well positioned to back up that bet, and especially to back up the front end of that bet. And when you look at, we talked about it. We underachieved our talent last year. There's a number of different reasons for that. But I think when you look at the talent that we have coming, not just this year, but in the years to come, and like I said, this is a long-term commitment, we're going to be well positioned to back that up. And you can go through a lot of the names, whether they've played in the big leagues or have yet to play in the big leagues, and I think feel better than we have in a long time about what we're going to be able to put around him to be able to win.
Are there any additional questions? That concludes our press conference. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.